Ooh, okay. Oh, I'm so tired. Hello, welcome. Let's see if we get anyone. I don't know if there's gonna be people tonight since it's like Sunday or Saturday night here in Tokyo, so maybe you guys are all out busy with your weekend activities, but we'll see. Let's just wait like a minute. So, I've had a crazy week. Well, a crazy past few months, actually. Listen, depending on the outcome of this beauty pageant thing, which is taking place, or I'm taking part in it on January 4th, depending on the outcome, I don't know if I ever want to do something like this again. Because I just feel like it's not worth the stress. I don't know. I don't like it when it seems like certain activities are deliberately designed to stress you out and extract as much energy out of you as possible. Like, obviously, it goes without saying that any hobby you take up or any endeavor that you undertake, it's going to require a level of discipline and sacrifice and all of that from you. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, how much of your energy and your time and everything that you're willing to put in, how much this new endeavor means to you. But I don't like it when it's a bait and switch situation. You know what I mean? Like, in the beginning, it seems like fun, or it seems like just this casual extracurricular activity that you can do. But then as the days go on, or as you get deeper into the process, I don't like it when the organization switches things up on you and tries to pressure you to invest more of your resources, like your money and your time and energy into it. I'm not a fan of the switch up. So, but anyway, there's nuance in every case, right? I'm not saying that like it's always necessarily malicious or even intentional on the part of the organization or the group or whatever. But yeah. Okay, so I am going to show you guys my Zootopia 2 merchandise haul. You guys, oh my god, I never thought I would see this day, to be honest with you, because it has been 9 years since the first Zootopia came out, and there was a moment there, like around, I think the hope was the highest around the 5 to 7 year mark. But after the 7 year mark, especially after we went through COVID and all of that, I feel like the fan base as a collective, or definitely me in particular, has pretty much given up hope for an official sequel. And we already had, the spin-off unofficial fanfic type of series that were already in wide circulation across the net. So there's that, and we'll get to that in a bit when I discuss some of the I guess standout scenes from the second movie. But yeah, I really thought that I might never see this day again. And I'm surrounded here by obviously my new merch that I picked up from the second movie. So I went in on opening day at my local Eon Cinema, and I went in during my lunch hour because I wanted to go early to get the first pick of the best merchandise. I knew that it would probably be sold out by the time that I actually went in to watch the movie, which was closer to like 9 p.m. at night because I went to the latest showing. So I knew that if I waited until then to check out the merch stand, that all of the good stuff would probably be gone already by that point. So this was my first run. And then I picked up a second round of merch for when I actually went in to see the movie at 10 p.m. Sorry. And if I sound nasally, it's because I had a very, very close brush with the flu for this past week. It wasn't full blown, but definitely there was some sort of bug in my system. And the moment I noticed that it happened, I wasn't playing around at all. Like, I took I drank copious amounts of drinks with vitamin C every day, and I stayed inside for the most part. I wore a mask every time I went out. So I think because of all the measures that I took, it didn't escalate to anything worse. I didn't feel a drop in my energy levels or anything, but I've had like a runny nose and a sore throat and all of that for the past week. But I didn't lose my voice, and it hasn't been, it didn't escalate into a really bad cough or anything like that. So I'm going to take what I can get, and I'm just going to count my blessings there, and hopefully today will be the last of it. Cuz yeah, it's been a week now, so I'm kind of annoyed that I still have kind of a stuffy nose. But anyway, I'm sitting here with my newest, so my two-part haul, right? From the premiere day. And I have a bunch of merch from the last time that I bought Zootopia merch. So this wasn't even when the first movie came out. I don't think I saw the first movie. Excuse me. I don't think I saw the first movie in theaters. I think I saw it a couple of years later on a plane. So I didn't even see the first Zootopia movie in real time when it came out. So for me, it was actually slightly shorter of a wait than the rest of the fan base, right? Because I didn't have to wait the entire 9 years. It was more like 7 years for me. But anyway, there was one point I remember where they just randomly had a Zootopia pop-up shop of a collection of Nick and Judy merch. It was mostly like Nick centered, I think. Which, at the time I was a new fan. Oh my God. Yeah. I guess I haven't talked to many people this entire week either because I was just working from home the entire time. So that also helped with my fast recovery because I didn't have to use my voice. But now that I'm talking, the coughing fit is coming on. Go figure. But yeah, just a bunch of Nick merchandise and then like these random handkerchiefs of Nick and Judy. And I actually just sold one on Mercari of one that was in the shape of Nick's head because I didn't even open that one. I had this listed on Mercari for like well over a year. And because I guess with the Zootopia 2 movie coming out recently, the hype has been revived. So this mom on Mercari messaged me on my freaking 2-year-old listing, and she was like, "Hey, do you have this item still available?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can ship it out to you this weekend." And because I saw in her profile that she had 2 young kids and everything, so I'm sure that her kids are also fans of Zootopia. So I actually sent her a free item too. I sent her one of these sticker books, not this one because I kept this one, but I had 2 of these sticker books. This was another random Zootopia capsule collection thing that they had at Family Mart at one point. So this one was actually, I think I picked it up this year because I just randomly saw it in Family Mart. Or no, it was 7-Eleven near me. And, they have different tiers of prizes. And it's basically, what's it called? A lottery. Like you pay for a ticket and then you draw a card from the counter at 7-Eleven. And then whatever number or letter it says on the card, that's what gift you get. So I just got the sticker book, which to be honest was kind of a letdown because a lot of the other prizes seemed a lot cooler and more functional. But anyway, this is a sticker book with Nick and Judy and little scenes from the original movie, which is pretty cute. But yeah, I think they gave me 2 by accident that I didn't realize until I got back home because, it's thin. So they just like the 7-Eleven employee gave me 2. So I gave the other one to this mom who bought that Nick handkerchief from me because I'm just thankful that someone finally bought my listing after 2 years. I forgot that it was even on there. But yeah, this is a Nick pencil case / makeup case thing. And you want to know the saddest thing is that I never got around to using this because, back then I was not as good about using all of the merch and the cute items that I bought. I was still in that mentality of saving things for a special occasion, which, I mean, let's be honest, like, which occasion would you be saving? Why would you go out of your way to save your Nick Wilde pencil case for a certain occasion? Just use it, right? So I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that, because now you see the case has deteriorated. It's literally like falling apart at the seams. And I never use this, you guys. If you looked at this and you didn't know the backstory, you would think that this was well worn and used for several years and it's been bumped around, clanked around in my bag this whole time. But I never once used this or brought this out with me. Isn't that crazy? And now it's like falling apart and disintegrating. But I mean, you can see from the inside, right? It's totally clean. I have never even put anything in it. So maybe I should start. Maybe I should just like randomly put some makeup in there. But yeah, I guess because everyone's so in love with Nick, especially here in Asia and in Japan, because Japan also has their Japanese voice actors that do the dubbing for Nick and Judy. So I don't know their names, but they're also quite popular over here. And yeah, Zootopia is huge in Asia. So that's why it wasn't a surprise to me at all that they introduced a snake character, Gary the Snake, for the second movie. And I always wondered why Zootopia like never really took off the way that I felt it should have, because the subject matter is really like universal, and even though it's a kids movie, obviously at the end of the day, you can see from the fan reaction that it has universal appeal, and it has appeal to adults as well, because they are able to weave in like certain types of social commentary and certain jokes in there that are not vulgar, but they are just clever enough to catch the attention of the adult audience as well. So, and I believe the first film was a huge commercial success as well. I think it made like over $1 billion. So it was always a mystery to me why it took them so long to get their act together to put out Zootopia 2. But I would rather that they take their time and put it out than to have rushed it and have it turn out to be a subpar production, right? Because I gotta say, after seeing Zootopia 2, I'm extremely impressed with the storyline that they came out with this time. And yeah, anyway, before I yap too much, let me show you what I got, because I think people are gonna strangle me if I keep stalling. So I first got Gary the Snake plush character. These were so freaking expensive, you guys. I would have bought more if it wasn't freaking like 3,000 yen each. I'm not even joking. So they had Gary, and then they also had Nick and Judy in their special gala costumes that they wore in the second movie. So Judy in her yellow cocktail dress and Nick in a suit. But yeah, they were like almost 3,000 yen each. So I decided to just pick up Gary because he's kind of the new protagonist in this movie, and also because I am Year of the Snake, of course. So naturally, I gravitate towards the snake character. But you want to know what's funny? At the time that I picked up my first, well, at the time that I bought the merch, I hadn't seen the movie yet, right? And I actually didn't watch any trailers for Zootopia 2 whatsoever, so I had no idea what to expect with the snake character. I didn't know if he was going to be a good guy or a bad guy, or if there was going to be a twist with his character, like he was presenting himself to be good at first, but then turned out to be a baddie. Like, I had no idea. But I guess I had a feeling from his character design, just because he's so stinking cute. I had a feeling deep down that he was going to be one of the good ones in the end. By the way, there's going to be spoilers in this video, so you can click off if you still haven't watched it yet and you don't want the film to be spoiled for you. But yeah, it makes total sense that they introduced a snake character. It's meaningful to me personally because I was born in the Year of the Snake, and I actually, look, I have my Slytherin pajamas on right now. These are from GU, by the way, this pajama set, and it's actually for men's. But this is single-handedly now the warmest item of clothing that I own. and I'm definitely going to need it for this winter. So the funny thing about GU is that their sizes, I feel like, don't really differ much from male to female. It's more so just like the shape. You can tell it's more boxy because it's cut to fit a male frame or figure. But size wise, though, I don't feel like it's too overly baggy. And plus, anyway, it's supposed to be an oversized casual type of fit anyway. So I like the fact that the sleeves are long enough to kind of go halfway past my hands. I think that's a cute look for winter. And yeah, so I got my Slytherin, and I'm just in a very snaky serpentine mood right now. And Gary does snake. Okay, so I have so many things that I can say about him right now. Should I say it now, or should I wait until I show you everything else? No, I'm gonna lose my train of thought if I try to jump back and forth. So let me just talk about Gary the Snake right now. Yeah, the fact that this year is Year of the Snake in Chinese zodiac, I think also is a clear sign that this movie was definitely made in large part with the Asian market in consideration. Because China has a huge Zootopia fan population. I saw a news clip the other day that said a lot of Zootopia fans in China went to Zootopia 2 and brought their pets with them. Like, there was a video of the Chinese moviegoers with their pet dogs, and I guess mostly just dogs, yeah, because you wouldn't bring your cat or something to the movie theater, or maybe, I don't know, but they went in with their dogs to watch Zootopia 2, and I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. And yeah, this is a clear proof, I think. Well, I think it's clear proof that like I mentioned in one of my recent makeup videos, Disney and all these huge companies, they actually cater to the Asian consumer base much more than I think people in the West like to think or believe. But it's just the reality because of the sheer numbers and the revenue, essentially, that the Asian consumer base brings in. So regardless, though, I mean, you can debate that if you want, but regardless, I thought he was the most endearing, darling character ever. Look at his one fang. I was kind of worried in the movie because he lost his fang early on after they introduced him. I think it was during the gala scene. Yeah, like when he attacked one of the Lynxleys. I'm not sure, but he lost one of his fangs, right? I think it might have been in self-defense. I don't know. I have to go back and rewatch the movie. When I fly to Dubai in January, hopefully they will have Zootopia 2 in the in-flight entertainment system, so I will rewatch it then. But he loses his fang, and I always assumed that it was going to grow back, right? Because he's a reptile, so isn't that one of the things about reptiles, that their body parts grow back? But he never regained his fang. So now throughout the entire movie, I was kind of just like mildly unconscious or subconsciously worried about Gary the Snake. What if he loses his second fang and now he doesn't have any? And how is he even going to speak clearly, in that instance? But maybe that was just me overthinking as usual. But anyway, Gary the Snake, and also he's voiced by Ki Hui Kwan, who, okay, I'm going to put a pin in that. In fact, I'm going to make a note to myself because we need to talk about Ki Hui Kwan. Not so much like him as a person, more so the circumstances surrounding his fame. Because I think Ki Hui Kwan is one of those rare individuals who is such a gem that deserves all of his success. And I believe his success and his recognition in Hollywood is long overdue. And I actually still think that I have thoughts about the way that people perceive him. But we'll get to that later. Okay, so the second thing that I got was just a notebook, as I usually do, because I'm a manifestation girly, first and foremost. So I'm never not in need of a new notebook to write down my manifestations, or just journal in general, or write down my to-do lists. Why not dress up the mundane tasks in life with something cute and whimsical for yourself? You know what I mean? Like, even if I just use this to write down my grocery list or something for the week, I would rather write it in a Nick and Judy notebook than a plain one without any whimsy from the dollar store or from Daiso. Okay. But yeah, so this is Judy and Nick in, it says the Dive Bar Lounge. Is that where they went to when they visited that lizard colony? Wildehopps. Crack the case. And Nick has, okay, so they have different outfits. They have slightly different outfits this time around than they did in the first movie, which I think is a smart choice because I do believe that it was smart to make that tiny, subtle visual distinction between the main characters in the second movie and the ones in the original Zootopia, because even though chronologically the events of Zootopia 2 actually only take place about a week after the first movie, in the real world it's been 9 years, right? So I do think it's significant that um like it's a small detail, but I feel like it's very important that they decided to go with giving Nick, a pink shirt instead of a green one this time around. I'll just use this notebook because sorry, because it's easiest to see. But Nick now has like a pinkish, like fuchsia shirt, and then Judy she still has a police woman-ish uniform on, but it's not a full police uniform form. Now she has like a more casual sports blazer type of thing going on. So if you compare with the first movie, right? Nick was in a lime green shirt and Judy was in a full police uniform. And I just think it was very smart, and it was a good move on Disney's part to give them slightly different outfits this time around so that mentally we have this sensation of like, okay, we're revisiting these old characters that we know and love. However, it still has this air of new life has been breathed into these characters because they had a wardrobe update. Anyway, so truth be told, I really could have stopped here because there's nothing in particular that I necessarily need. I mean, there's nothing about merch that is necessary to survival, right? It's more just for being a fan's sake. But, and also, like, I wasn't super into most of the offerings that they had. I don't know. I wasn't disappointed or anything because, again, I don't think I need more stuff. But I was just surprised because I thought there were going to be more things that I naturally gravitated towards, but I wasn't that impressed. And there are certain styles also of Nick and Judy. Like, I don't know if anything that I bought has this certain cartoon style. No, I think not, because I intentionally avoided it. But there's like a cartoonish style that they sometimes draw Judy and Nick in that I'm not a fan of because it reminds me of Daiso, because they do have like some Zootopia branded merch in Daiso from time to time, but it's like, I mean, it's official Disney IP, but it's very obviously not high quality. It's not like the expensive Disney merchandise. So I associate that art style with Daiso level products, and they had quite a few items with that art style available this time around in the Zootopia 2 merch stand. And I just felt like, okay, this is not giving me the feeling of, buying special limited edition one of a kind merch. Okay, so they gave a postcard, I guess you can call this, to everyone who went to see the movie on the premiere day. I, as you know, and it should come as no surprise, I always opt for the regular English language showing of the film with Japanese subtitles. So my movies, the showings that I go to, they never take place in the big IMAX theaters because those theaters are usually reserved for the Japanese dubbed versions of whatever movie. Because we're in Japan, right? So the majority of the viewership or the audience is going to be Japanese people that prefer to watch it with dubbed voices in the Japanese language, and especially since there's a lot of kids that are interested in Zootopia. Yeah, the people that watched it in IMAX, they got so many more freebies. Like they got so much more stuff than us who watched the film in its original English language. They got all of these glittery full-size posters and things like that. But it's okay. It's okay. Because it's still not worth it to me to watch it being dubbed over in Japanese. I prefer to watch films in their original language. And if it happens to not be a language that I understand, I have no problem reading English subtitles. I believe that the feel, so much of the soul and the heart of a film, regardless of whether it's made for adults or children, lies in the original language, right? Because language is like, language has a spirit as well. So, yeah, I'm never going to watch anything that's dubbed that was originally not Japanese, but it's dubbed in Japanese. But anyway, I was happy enough with our free little postcard because it's something, right? And it has Gary the snake. Oh, and I just noticed, yeah, so they introduced a couple of different new worlds in this film. So they have like the swamp. I forget the name, but the place where all the beavers live. And I don't know where this is. And they also go to like the tundra or something, a frozen Arctic landscape. Now it's coming back to me. That's where Nikki and Judy had to go to find the original patent that Gary DeSnake's grandmother, Agnes DeSnake, made because she was the truthful and rightful inventor of the 4 weather panels or something. Sorry, I didn't review the movie's plot before going live, so I don't really remember a lot of things in detail, but again, spoiler alert, one of the main conflicts of the movie is that Gary DeSnake is trying to. So reptiles have been like exiled from Zootopia and they've been villainized for many generations. But Gary DeSnake sets out to clear his family's name because his grandmother or his great grandmother, whose name is Agnes DeSnake, she invented weather panels that allowed animals to, I don't know, like it was what allowed all different types of animals to be able to live in Zootopia harmoniously and also just comfortably because she designed weather panels to help regulate the temperature for whatever animal, whatever their natural habitat or climate was. It made it possible for them to adjust it to that, even though they all lived in the same city. I don't know if that's the best explanation, but yeah, that's what his great grandmother did. But then the Lynxleys, which was the lynx or the bougie cat family in this movie, they the great grandfather or the grandfather of the Lynxleys framed Agnes DeSnake and stole her patent and passed it off as the Lynxleys' work. So that's the central conflict in this movie. And it's probably the worst off the cuff summary that you'll ever hear about it. But yeah, essentially, they figure out, or Gary tells Judy and Nick that the patent, the original one with Agnes's signature on it, still exists, but they have to go find it in like the tundra, in the, icy woodlands or wherever, like the mountains, the icy, snowy mountains, where the original snake family home was. That's where Agnes's original patent is buried. But Judy and Nick and the good guys have to get there and retrieve it before the link sleeves get there to try and destroy it, right? Because the link sleeves want to destroy the evidence that it was actually a snake that invented one of the most, revolutionary inventions that changed the way that Zootopians were able to live for the better. So yeah, like essentially the snakes were framed and the lizards were framed in this movie, and it's a story about getting the truth out there and undoing the prejudice that was cast upon the entire lizard class as a result of this huge misunderstanding. Or no, it's not a misunderstanding. It was deliberate libel on the part of the link sleaze, and deliberate what's the word? I'm sure there's like a better social political term for it. Well, it was fraud essentially, because the link sleaze claimed that they were the ones, their family ancestor was the one who invented the weather panels, but actually it was invented by a snake, right? So they threw the snakes and the reptiles under the bus and made everyone in Zootopia believe that they were crooks and criminals and all of that, but it was actually far from the truth, which was that the snake family was actually very noble, and Agnes the snake actually had a great vision for all the animals living in harmony in the future. So yeah, it was actually like, it was very, very, I don't know. I mean, the story itself was very Disney, and I would expect nothing less from a Disney movie, much less a Zootopia sequel. In a lot of ways, I felt that it was almost better than the first movie. Don't kill me, First movie is a classic, and it's going to have a place in all of our hearts always. That's not up for debate, and it was also the first time that we were introduced to all of these beloved characters. So again, there's a magic in the first movie that definitely cannot be recreated in this or any other subsequent sequel. But I felt like they had a tall order to fulfill with this sequel, and the expectations were growing higher and higher by the year, right? They waited 9 long years. They made us wait 9 long years before they gave us this sequel. So people already went into it with really, really high expectations. And even in spite of all of that, I feel like they did a great job, and they pretty much managed to make everyone happy, right? Maybe not everyone 100%, but like 90%, 95%. I think most fans of the original Zootopia were very, very happy with the second movie, including myself. So in a way, I almost feel like it's better than the first movie, because they were able to keep track of, like, they were able to call back the older familiar characters in the first film while introducing a whole host of new characters without making the whole thing too chaotic and hard to follow. Like, I will admit, at times I felt like, okay, it's just kind of character overload. Although that was always the case anyway with Zootopia, even in the first film, because that's kind of one of the big premises of the entire story, right? It's the fact that there's all these different types of animals from all different species living in this huge metropolis. So naturally, you're going to get introduced to a lot of different characters. But I was impressed with the way that they gave cameos to so many beloved characters from the first film, while still centering the film on, obviously, Nick and Judy's, partnership. We'll get to that. But it was still centered around Nick and Judy and their partnership, and, dare I say, love for each other, and all of the complicated ways that that played out, as well as introducing a solid new villain, which was the Linksley family, right? As well as Kiwi Kwan's Gary the Snake, who was kind of like the, I don't know if we'll say tragic hero. I mean, not tragic, because he has a happy ending, but the fact that, like, his grandma was not here. She didn't live long enough to see him avenge her name. To me, I felt like that was kind of bittersweet, right? Like, no matter what, in the end, even though they triumphed and they were able to restore honor to the Snake family name, I just felt like it was kind of bittersweet because it only came after his family and all reptiles had already suffered like such a bad, unearned, bad reputation for the past few generations. So I don't know. I was a mess, you guys. Like I was not okay when I watched Zootopia 2. I was bursting into tears every time Gary came onto screen. I don't know why. But yeah, it's something about his face too. It's just like so cute with the wide-eyed, innocent, dopey look. It really reminded me of my very own one and only Maxine. Like even though he's a snake and she's a cat, I feel like they have the same face. If I edit this later, I'll put her face next to his, but or no, I can bring her over now, actually. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if she's sleeping. But... Oh, Maxine. Whoa. Wait. See, look at that resemblance. She even has a fang too. You just can't see it now, but she also has fangs that hang out sometimes when she's sleeping and such. But yeah, where was I? I was about to show you. Oh, I was going back and forth between whether or not I should get this mirror. Because to be honest, the merch stand was so crowded, like for the entire day. I have never seen the merch stand at my local cinema be that crowded so consistently throughout the entire day. It was just like a constant stream and line of people going in and out, and it's a very, very tiny space as well. So it was hard to kind of think straight because you kind of had to make a quick decision because like they didn't rush you through, but you kind of people were like periodically passing through the merch stand. So once you passed a certain section, you couldn't really go back unless you like went out and did another circle. So that's why I ended up just I don't know. I feel like I didn't need necessarily any of the things that I picked up on the second round, but at the same time, I don't regret it necessarily because Zootopia is just one of those things that I have given myself permission to really spare no expense on. But yeah, so I just got 3 things the second time. So the first one is this fluffy Nick Wilde pouch. And again, I like how Nick is in his new magenta shirt with the floral tie. And it says, Nick Wilde, foxes don't talk about it. I'm not sure if that was a quote from the movie. I don't really remember him saying that. Oh, probably because like they're referencing the fact that he has, like in the movie, he had trouble expressing his true feelings. Nick is one of those characters that uses sarcasm and jokes and stuff to try and avoid talking about his true feelings, you know? So like later on in the end, in the climax of the movie, him and Judy kind of after they have like a near brush with death and they both kind of run into each other's arms and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? Thank God. That's when they had their little heart-to-heart moment and they kind of spill their hearts to each other and they're able to break through that initial issue that they had of expressing their feelings. But yeah, I like it because it's fuzzy on the back. I got a similar one from the Lilo and Stitch movie that was blue and it was also like a fuzzy panel on the back, but I think I gave that one away to Judy actually when she came to visit in October. Was it now? It was a few months ago. So yeah, I was on the fence about this mirror because I was like, I can always use a hand mirror, and especially since this one is smaller, I felt like it would be useful to keep in my purse or something, to keep in my bag, right? Why is this stuck? But then after I bought it, at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit regretting it because I thought that, I don't know, I thought it looked kind of a little bit juvenile. I think it's mostly like the yellow border. I wish there was, yeah, like the colors are a little bit juvenile, for lack of a better term. If they used more muted colors, I would be more into it. But now that I'm looking at it again for the first time in like a week, I'm glad I bought it because it's just a cute little mirror that I can keep with myself or in my makeup bag. And I like how, hold on a second. Oh yeah, we gotta peel this off. We gotta have our ASMR moment. Huh. It's cute, right? And actually, I like the way that it's cut. The shape, it's very, very sharp and nice. It's not just like a cheap, I don't know, because like at first when I looked at it in the packaging, it looked kind of like a cheap child's toy. But now that I'm holding it in my hand, it looks decent quality. It feels like it's decent quality. And it's going to be useful to me in my makeup bag, especially when I travel. Speaking of mirrors, do I have another one here? There was another small mirror. Oh my god. I got a free mirror with one of my face masks a while ago, and I thought it was really funny. It's like in the shape of a face mask, you know, with a face on it. Great description, Ren. And I wanted to show you guys, but now I can't find it. Oh well, it'll turn up eventually. Okay, and then I also got this shopping bag because I thought this one looked really, really unique. It's like a mesh shopping bag, and it has embroidery on it of Zootopia, or Zootropolis as they're calling it now. I heard that they changed it to Zootropolis because they felt like Zootopia was a bit of a misnomer, because Zootopia implies Zootopia is a play on the word utopia, right? Which implies that it is an ideal place. Like it's a utopia, you know, it's the ideal place and nothing ever goes wrong there. But that's not actually the case. The city itself has actually a lot of problems, right? Even though it's a great place to live and we love all the characters and the story that come out of it, the actual city has problems. I mean, that's why the story is centered on a bunny police officer and her reformed partner, you know, her reformed, what's it called, con man of a fox partner who also became a police officer. They are in the police force, which exists because there are certain issues that the city has that need the help of law enforcement, which by nature implies that it's not a utopia, which is why they renamed it to Zootropolis. Or I guess in some territories, it's always been referred to as Zootropolis. But I don't know. Me personally, I think they should have just stuck with the name Zootopia because it's more catchy to me. But anyway, I got yeah, this is a shopping bag, and I thought this was like very unique. However, I was on the fence about this one because you guys, the Zootopia merch, the Zootopia 2 official movie merch line over here in Japan, at least. I don't know about the rest of the world, but it was so pricey. Like, I don't know if it's a Disney thing, but they were all of the items that they came out with for Zootopia 2 were significantly higher in price than movie merch for other movies that I picked up throughout this year. So, like, case in point, this Echo bag was a whopping 3,300 yen. That is a lot for just a mesh shopping bag, essentially. Although, I guess, okay, so there's another pouch that comes with it. Okay, so I guess it's 2 in 1. Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, you do get 2 pouches in 1. And this one says definitively Zootopia 2. So I thought that that was... I wanted to pick out things that were specific to Zootopia 2, right? Or else, you know, if I wanted to get regular Zootopia merch, I can buy that anytime from the Disney store. But I wanted merch that was like limited to the second movie. And I just thought this was really good quality. You can see at the bottom here, it's all embroidery. And the bottom here, they have Gary the Snake, Judy, and Nick. And a couple of cute palm motifs and a key right here. I can't remember if there was ever a significance of a key in the movie. I think so. Was there like a key that unlocked the diary of the Snake family or something? Anyway, not really an important detail, but I like how it's quite small and compact. I don't know. I feel like some shopping bags are, or a lot of Echo bags, they're usually bigger than this. And while it's useful, obviously, if you're going to buy a lot of stuff, sometimes I just prefer a smaller, more compact bag like this because it's easier to handle. And yeah, the fact that it came with an extra pouch is also pretty cool. So I'm going to have to break this in sometime this week, because we are not in the business of buying things and not using them in this house. Might I remind everyone? Sorry, I don't know why I'm so thirsty right now. This Nick Wilde pouch too. This was also 2,000 yen. The Furk. Although I remember the Lilo and Stitch one in the same design was also 2,000 yen. So I don't know. It depends on the item, but definitely like this snake plushie, I don't think this is worth 3,000 yen. I think they are blatantly price gouging us at this point, Disney. And like even this shopping bag, you know, I just said that I can understand the pricing because of all the intricate detail and the embroidery and whatnot, and the fact that you get 2 in 1, essentially. You get a small zipper pouch as well. Okay, I can forgive that they would charge 3,300 yen for this. But I don't know. A plush, you guys? Really? I mean, I get it. Gary also has a pretty unique, not complicated, but a very like striking character design. So I understand it's not just some random snake. And you also get details like embroidery for his little singular fang there. But yeah, okay. On the topic of Gary the Snake, though, Ki Hui Kwan. Oh my god. Ki Hui Kwan. I'm very happy for Ki Hui Kwan. I think his comeback story in Hollywood is so wholesome and fewer. It's one of those situations where I just feel like the person who deserved his success the most actually got it this time around, right? So, Ke Huy Quan, if you guys don't know, he got his start in Hollywood by being one of the child sidekick characters in the one of the Indiana Jones films. I don't know if he was in multiple, but he acted alongside Harrison Ford when he was a child in Indiana Jones. And then I think, like, yeah, by his own account, his career basically dried up for several decades. Like he had some parts as a child, and then there was like a drought period of 20 something plus years, several decades, where he just couldn't get any significant roles. And there's also that whole aspect of Hollywood not wanting to cast Asian men in leading male roles. So all of those factors contributed to the fact that he thought for a long time after the initial success of Indiana Jones, he had thought and kind of resigned himself to accepting the idea that his acting career was essentially over, or that there was just no room for someone like him in Hollywood. And so I think, yeah, and like he never spoke about this with any bitterness. It was just kind of matter of fact. This is what happened throughout the entirety of my career. But then, as we all know, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a film that he starred in with Michelle Yeoh, it kind of changed everything. And the film was a smash hit. I actually have never watched it, but because I'm not the biggest fan of Michelle Yeoh as an actress. I know. Don't hate me, but yeah. I liked her up to a certain point, and then I think when she started doing like Crazy Rich Asians and stuff, that's where it kind of shifted for me. I never watched Crazy Rich Asians either, to be honest with you. But I don't know, when she shifted from, I guess, like the traditional martial arts kinds of roles to more modern drama or modern material type of movies, that's when my interest in her waned as well. And yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't want to say that it's a lack of talent or anything, but I don't know. Like, I feel like her skills really shined in the previous period pieces and the martial arts type of roles that she used to do. I feel like she was able to blend into that genre really well. She was made for that genre, right? But I'm also aware that obviously for Asian actors, especially those that are trying to play on the international stage, they don't like to be pigeonholed into those types of roles. So I totally understand, and it's completely her right to branch out into different types of roles. But I don't know, that was the point where I kind of lost interest in her, and especially with her most recent role in Wicked, everyone was roasting like her singing abilities, and she herself said that she doesn't know how to sing. So she brought this up as a concern to the director of Wicked, who's also Asian. I forgot his name, but Michelle Yeoh herself brought this up as a concern to the director of Wicked and asked them, "Are you sure you want to cast me for Madame Morrible? Because I really cannot sing. So I would be totally fine. Like, I wouldn't take it personally if you wanted to cast a different actress that was more of a fit for this character." But the director insisted that he wanted Michelle Yeoh in the film, which I can totally understand. Like, why would you? I think, who's the director of Wicked? John Chu, right? If I was in John Chu's shoes, I would do the same thing. I mean, my first huge feature film that's going to be guaranteed to be a huge hit and cultural moment with a star-studded cast. Of course, I'm going to take this opportunity to work with one of the legends in Asian cinema as well, which is Michelle Yeoh, right? So I understand why John Chu kind of forced her or strong-handed her into doing the role, but I don't know. I don't think that role did her any favors, to be honest. But then again, I'm also firmly of the belief that you know how white girl famous is a thing. That was a term that we used back when I was a teenager, like in the 2000s. The idea that Caucasian women can be mediocre and be famous for nothing, essentially. I feel like the same concept should be extended to people of other races, including Asian people. So, even though I personally I'm not interested in enough to see Michelle Yeoh in a lot of her recent roles. At the same time, I support her right as an Asian actress to take on mediocre roles if that's what she feels like doing. So anyway, I'm not saying Michelle Yeoh is a mediocre actress. I'm just saying I'm not interested in her recent works. But back to Ke Huy Quan, okay? So he won an Oscar for his performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once with Michelle Yeoh, which was like the biggest comeback story ever for his career, right? Because for so long, for several decades of his life, he had kind of written off acting as a profession altogether, as something that he could continue on the path of, because he was just getting no real opportunities for such a long period of time. But the fact that, he basically got a second chance in his 50s. When did Everything Everywhere All at Once come out? That was in 2022. And Ke Huy Quan is 54. So he was in his 50s by the time that he finally got the chance to star in a movie that would eventually lead to an Oscar win, right? Or several Oscar wins. I'm not keeping track. But yeah, so I think Ke Huy Quan it's very heartwarming because it's like one of those people that truly deserves his long-awaited success and Oscar win, and has the fact that he has remained so humble and grounded throughout it all. I really, really love that for him. However, and I love the fact that, oh my God, one small detail that they had in Zootopia 2 is that they gave Gary the Snake a fanny pack, which was supposed to reference to a lot of characters that Ke Huy Quan has played in recent years that all wear fanny packs as a defining characteristic. So they gave the snake a fanny pack as well in Zootopia, where he carried like the antidote to his venom, which I thought was the cutest thing ever. Like I said, I was a mess when I was watching Zootopia 2. Okay, like there were a few scenes when Gary was speaking like so earnestly and just with such naivete and hope in his eyes and belief in his grandma's vision of like a peaceful utopia, Zootopia, where all the different types of species could come together and live in harmony. That caught me in the feels right here. I'm not even gonna lie. But yeah, Ke Huy Quan, I'm very happy for his success. But there's just one thing that it kind of bothers me. Like, even though he's won the Oscars, he's made the comeback, he's in high demand now to the point where he's playing a main character. He's voice acting for the character of a major Disney blockbuster, a Zootopia 2 no less, which is a cult classic, right? Especially here in Asia, Japan, China, Singapore. Like, Asian people love Zootopia to the point where Shanghai Disneyland has a whole area that is an homage to Zootopia. I don't think they even have that in any of the Disneylands in the States. So it means a lot for the Asian community as a whole as well to have Ke Huy Quan feature as one of the main characters in Zootopia 2. I don't really like the way that people, especially in the Western media, I guess, talk about Ke Huy Quan or other Asian actors like him. And you can say that I'm nitpicking if you want to, but I don't like how he's just referred to as this cute, wholesome individual. Like, every time I read comments under a video of Ke Huy Quan, because I've been watching a lot of the interviews and press videos for Zootopia 2, and there's always comments about how Ke Huy Quan is just this wholesome, cute, adorable person. They're like, oh, I can't think of anyone more adorable or more wholesome than Ke Huy Quan. Like, he's just so cute, etc. And I'm just like, I'm not sure that, like, okay, I know that people don't mean any harm by this, but calling a 50-something-year-old man who has been acting in movies for longer than most of these commentators have been alive, calling him cute, it just doesn't sit right with me. And like, you wouldn't call a Caucasian actor who's similar to Ki Hui Kwan in the way that, you know, he stays out of trouble, he's a family oriented guy. Like, you don't see too many people calling Caucasian male actors in their 50s cute, right? You would hear more neutral praise, like, oh, he's such a family man, or he's so talented, right? Why don't I hear more comments just about Ki Hui Kwan's talent as a whole? Like, why can't you just say that, oh, this man is so talented, or this man deserves his flowers? You know, Ki Hui Kwan has been putting in the work since he was in the single digits, right? I don't think he was even 10 when he filmed those Indiana Jones movies. So like, why not praise his talent or his longevity in the industry? Like, put some respect on his name is what I'm trying to say. Cute, is it just because he's like an Asian so that you think it's it's okay to regard him as just this cute old Asian uncle? I don't know. I mean, that's up to him if he wants to take that as a compliment or an insult. So I'm sure like he's not the type of person to take those comments as insult. And I won't either, you know, because people also call me cute, and I believe that nobody can insult me if I don't agree with them, right? So I never take it in my mind to mean that they're being condescending towards me when they call me cute or whatnot. And usually I just, I play into whatever their bias is towards me in the beginning, because my philosophy is, if you're going to be dumb enough to categorize me in a box and immediately go off of what you see visually or off of my aesthetics, if you're short-sighted enough to automatically attribute like cute or adorable character traits to me based solely on what I look like, then I'm also going to automatically lean into that and use it to my benefit in my interaction with you, if that makes sense. So I don't personally have a problem with it, but I do I don't know, I have a problem with just the overall sentiment, or I don't know, just this lack of true respect and true regard that lots of Western moviegoers, I'll say, either they just don't realize what they're doing when they refer to Asian actors. Like, when you refer to a 50-something-year-old veteran Asian actor as just this cute, adorable, wholesome guy, and meanwhile he's a whole Oscar winner and he's starred in some of the most famous cult classic films, and I think Harrison Ford even went on stage with him to present his Oscar to him. Or I don't remember which award ceremony exactly it was, but I remember that Harrison Ford went on stage with Ki Hui Kwan to specifically like thank him and recognize him for his work in Hollywood, right? Because he is the one that was closest to him when Ki Hui Kwan was a little boy working on the Indiana Jones set. So it's just disappointing. And it's tired. It's played out. Those are the words that I'm looking for when I hear people to this day referring to someone like Ki Hui Kwan as just, oh, this cute Asian uncle. I'm like, bitch, okay, this guy has been acting and honing his craft for longer than you've been alive. Like, sit down, okay? Would you refer to your 50-year-old, would you refer to any other 50-year-old actor who is Caucasian in that way? Or even not Caucasian, just a non-Asian actor, would you say that they're just so cute and wholesome and you want to take them home and treat them like a little pet or something? That kind of language, you would never say that about a non-Asian man who's an actor in his 50s, I heard the same kind of comments about people like, I don't know, George Takei, although George Takei kind of had his own little scandal, so maybe he's not the best example. But yeah, speaking of Harrison Ford, though, right? Because he was in Indiana Jones with Ke Huy Quan, and this is not okay. I'm not saying that Ke Huy Quan is responsible at all for Harrison Ford's past actions, or I don't think Ke Huy Quan. Ugh, oh my god, I'm not saying Ke Huy Quan is responsible for calling this out or anything of the sort, but it did make me uncomfortable to see him and Harrison Ford do that big reunion on stage after Ke Huy won his Oscars and stuff, because I cannot forget, and I won't forget, what Harrison Ford did to Carrie Fisher when they were filming Star Wars together. Remember, Harrison Ford was married at the time, and he basically drugged Carrie Fisher, who was then 19 years old, into an affair with him while they were filming the movie, and then basically, like, discarded of her after the filming was over. And Carrie Fisher wrote about it in her memoir, right? That's how it kind of was confirmed to the public, even though it was kind of a well-known secret for a long time in the industry. But then Carrie Fisher wrote an autobiography or something a couple of years ago that basically confirmed the entire story, and she went into detail about how it all went down. And she also revealed that, like, basically she never really got over it. Like, there was always, I think she wrote something like, there's a part of me that's always gonna be in love with him, or that's always gonna feel something for him, um, which is a universal experience that a lot of us have. If you've ever been through love and heartbreak and all of that, which is those are all normal experiences that most humans go through. But the fact that, like, she went public with that information tells me that there's a large part of her that never healed from that experience, which I wouldn't be surprised, because again, she was 19 at the time, and I think she was relatively unknown as far as being as far as being an actress in the industry. That was her breakup out role, right? As Princess Leia in the Star Wars. Whereas meanwhile, Harrison Ford was already in his 30s, and he was a well-established movie star by that time. So the power dynamic was definitely unbalanced to begin with. And then secondly, I think she was also, like, she herself spoke about how at the time she was very, very insecure about her looks and her body, and compounded with the fact that Princess Leia was supposed to be this sex symbol type of character. She also felt the constant pressure of having to live up to that ideal as well in her actual role in Star Wars. And the fact that, like, I don't know, I was very upset when Carrie Fisher passed away, because basically I feel like she passed away without ever getting closure or getting the healing that she deserved for that unfortunate situation that Harrison Ford put her in when she was still a teenager, essentially. And I hate that for her. And I hate Harrison Ford for that forever. And yeah, like, I don't like how people pick and choose who they cancel and who they don't. Like, why has no one canceled Harrison Ford over this? Why do people still act like, oh, but he's a legend and this and that? And then you see him up there with a really, really someone with a really squeaky clean reputation like Ke Huy Quan, and now all of a sudden everyone forgets all the shady shit that Harrison Ford did in the past. Like, I don't remember the exact scenario, but I think Carrie Fisher writes in her autobiography that he basically, like, at one point he pulled her into the back of a cab with him and just started making out with her, and that was the start of their affair, right? She was 19, she didn't know any better. It's like this hugely charismatic, um already established movie star who she was also desperately, you know worried about, am I attractive enough to act alongside him? Am I pleasing to the fans? Like, do the fans find me worthy of playing his female counterpart? Like, all of these insecurities that she was battling with at the time, of course, she was going to succumb to whatever he wanted to get out of her in that situation. And yeah, I just think that that's like a very, very scummy thing to do. Like, doesn't, if it was anyone else except for Harrison Ford, wouldn't we cancel them immediately and say that they're disgusting, they are scum, they are the worst type of man to walk this planet? But because it's Harrison Ford, everyone just turns a blind eye and sweeps it under the carpet. And because we see Harrison Ford on stage congratulating Ke Huy Quan, and it's such a heartwarming full circle moment for Ke Huy Quan, we are willing to just forget about the fact that Harrison Ford is a horrible human being. I don't know, like I'm not really into that, as you know, on this channel. But yeah, so Harrison Ford, I will always have not have it out for him, because I don't care that much. I mean, I don't know these people, okay, and they don't know me, but I will never forgive Harrison Ford for what he did to Carrie Fisher. And I hate that she passed away without getting justice for, you know, basically her Me Too moment with him back in the day that he initiated. And I don't know, I feel for Carrie, because like I was put in similar situations when I was of a similar age. So maybe that's also why this topic is very hits close to home with me a little bit. I just think it's bullshit that the public decides who they're going to cancel and exalt based on not actually, like, they pretend that it's based on all of this morality and ethnic what's it called, ethical, not ethnic, ethical concerns and morality and whatnot. Everyone pretends that they are basing their judgment of people off of that, but it's bullshit. Like, you guys arbitrarily pick who you want to exalt and who you want to turn a blind eye to, or who you want to cancel based on whether you like the person and based on whatever the popular opinion is on that person at the time. That's what most people base their decisions off of when it comes to judging the character of, especially like a popular public figure. And that's why most people are full of shit. And I don't respect, yeah, I'm not going to respect somebody's opinion on something unless they prove to me, or they have a track record that they know what they're talking about and that they applied the same set of standards to every situation or every person. Because if you are someone who, like, you change your criteria based on what person it is, or whether you like the person or not, or whether you like their work, then you have no credibility in my eyes. But anyway, how do we get on this topic? Yeah, because like Ke Huy Quan has the connection with Harrison Ford, so I just couldn't get that out of my mind for the longest time. But like I said, I don't expect Ke Huy Quan to speak out against Harrison Ford or anything, although it would be awesome if he did, though, honestly. But I understand why he wouldn't, though, because he was not part of that whole situation that Harrison Ford had with Carrie Fisher, because that was on the Star Wars set, right? Ke Huy Quan was not part of the Star Wars franchise in any way, shape, or form. So obviously, I understand that he wouldn't want to just stick his nose in business that he had no part of. But that's just something that I could never get past when I was seeing all those videos of him reuniting with Harrison Ford on stage. But yeah, congratulations to Ke Huy, though, for his thriving career as of late. I hope they continue with it in Zootopia 3. I sincerely hope that we don't have to wait another 9 years for Zootopia 3, although, knock on wood, okay, but I prefer that they take their time. I don't mind Disney taking as long as they need to make a truly quality production, even if it means that I have to wait a little bit longer. Although my primal instinct, my immediate reaction is to be like, no, make it as quickly as possible. My logical mind is like, no, we can wait, because the most important thing is that the story and the production and the final product is of quality. So yeah, but they better not take another 9 years, because come on, like just right off of the momentum of this one, okay? I think they were teasing that they're gonna introduce birds as the next species, because remember, in Zootopia 1, they didn't show any reptiles, so they addressed that in Zootopia 2 by making the central conflict revolve around a family of reptiles, the snake family. I love how his name is Gary the Snake. It's so cute. Oh my god. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, so Judy and Nick, right? Wildehopps, as it's referred to in the English speaking fandom on the internet. Okay, so everyone is talking about how they were a lot more blatant with kind of like the relationship, the romantic feelings, you could say, between Judy and Nick in this film. It's definitely ramped up a lot more than the first film, mostly in part due to the fact that they were really like they were just getting to know each other in the first film, so it was throughout most of the course of the entire first film was a process of Judy and Nick kind of going through this enemies to lovers pipeline, right? Like they were opposed to each other at first, but then as they got to know each other, they started to develop this special bond, and then it climaxed in the end where they basically collaborate to outsmart Mayor Bellwether, and then somehow Nick becomes a cop alongside Judy, even though he, like, up until the point where he met Judy, it's not like he had been training his entire life or doing any of the things that you need to do in preparation to even get a chance to become a cop. But somehow they just let him become Judy's partner, even though Judy has been training for her entire life to join the Zootopia police. But Nick somehow just gets in without having to even pass through any type of screening or whatever. Maybe they took into account his criminal background as a crooked fox and thought that, okay, well, as long as he is able to transfer these skills to the police detective work, then that's all well and fine. Yeah, so I guess Nick had transferable skills. Oh, also Nick is 8 years older than Judy. Did you guys know this? I mean, now that you mention it, it makes total sense, because Nick was already like well into his adult life and into his scammy activities by the time that Judy first stepped foot into the Zootopia scene. So I think it was implied that Judy was basically like a fresh college graduate in the first movie, and Nick was already kind of a jaded shakaijin, as they say in Japanese, like society person, by the time that Judy got to Zootopia. So it makes sense that Nick is a lot older than her, but I was surprised to hear 8 years. I thought it would have been more like 5, but 8 is good. Like in real life, 8 is an ideal number for me. I would like to meet someone that's 8 years older than me, but okay. So in the second film, they are actually like only a week into their partnership, but by this point they are friends, right? They are like they have a very good rapport with each other, and people are saying that Disney was teasing us in this movie because they made a lot of innuendos, right? So for example, instead of calling each other's friends, they often refer to each other as their partner in the movie, which of course in the context of the story, they are saying that they are saying partner as in they are partners on the job as policemen or police bunny and police fox. Like they are assigned to each other as partners by the chief of police. But it's a double entendre almost, right? Because that people, especially this day and age, they refer to their boyfriend or girlfriend as their partner. That's the common lingo this day and age. So there was that. And then also when they went to the gala to go undercover, because Judy had a hunch about some reptiles getting into Zootopia. Remember, she found some of Gary's shredded snake skin in the shipyard or somewhere. And so they break into this gala. I don't remember the exact plot, you guys. I'm sorry. But they break into the gala. So we get the cute little scene of, like, we get them in their cute formal outfits. Nick is wearing a tuxedo and Judy's wearing her yellow ball gown. And Judy strikes up a friendship at the gala with one of the Linksley sons, whose name is Pawbird, who turns out to be the villain in the end. But in the beginning, when they first meet at the gala, she kind of hits it off really well with Pawbird because he's also kind of like a otaku, not awkward, nerdy type of guy. So they have a little bit of a banter, and you can see that Nick is kind of, it's implied that the way that he's looking at them, he's kind of jealous of the fact that Judy is getting along with another male character, right? So there's all these little subtle clues and entendres. Oh, and also the beginning of I think like one of the very first scenes actually in the movie references a fanfic where Nick and Judy basically, like, they are a full-blown couple and they do things that couples do in private, right? Because they live each other. This is the fanfic, okay? And yes, I have watched and read all of these fanfics, like way, way before Zootopia 2 ever came out. These existed on the internet and I have watched all of them. And I don't care, all right? Because, like, everyone, look, like, nobody denies. I don't think anybody is in denial anymore. Nobody is wasting their breath trying to cap about the fact that they don't find these characters attractive. They are just objectively attractive, okay? I don't know what it is. It's a combination of, I guess, the character design, but also the swag that the voice actors have. Like, Nick is a very attractive fox, and Judy is also very attractive, and she has like a very nice, you know, figure for a bunny. But anyway, and they're both adults. Like, the characters are adults. So it's a rife breeding ground for all the adult fans' imaginations to go wild, right? I don't see a problem with that. So yeah, in this fan fiction, Nick and Judy are a full-blown couple, and then they have like a miscarriage. It was wild. And then so they reference this in Zootopia 2 when Nick and Judy go undercover as a couple, right? And they are pushing their baby, who is I forgot his name, but one of the other side characters from Zootopia 1. They made him pose as a baby, and they allude to the fact that, like, they're acting as this newly married couple and new parents in front of this suspect that they want to talk to, or they want to extract information out of him. Oh yeah, they're trying to get his key or something. I forget, but I think, oh my god, what was it? Was it an armadillo or an aardvark? Who are they trying to talk to in the shipyard? Yeah, it was an armadillo. Wait. Finnick was the guy, the little, not fox, but I forget the animal. He was the one that pretended to be their baby. And then, oh my god. So they were interrogating this guy in the shipyard, right? And they were pretending to be new parents of the baby Finnick. And then they alluded to the fanfic in which Nick and Judy conceived a child but lost it to miscarriage, and they were like, oh, but remember like what happened last time with the baby or whatever. I don't know, but it was a very, very obvious reference to the fanfic. So that reminded me of what happened with My Little Pony a few years back, where they referenced one of the fanfics about Pinkie Pie, who's the pink pony. There's a fanfic where she goes like really crazy and she makes cupcakes, and it's a bloodbath, the fanfic. So they made her kind of go crazy in one of the actual like canon episodes of the show, and they made a reference to cupcakes by having her use cupcakes as like kind of a weapon to throw at some people when she has her little crazy episode. But yeah, I like it. I don't mind when big franchises or like TV shows, TV series, I don't mind when they acknowledge the fan base in that way, even if the fanfic material is adult in nature. Again, I don't think that, as long as they're not like explicit about it, I don't think it hurts anyone. It's kind of just like a nod and a wink to the adults and the parents in the audience, and the kids that are watching are going to be none the wiser, right? Because it's not like they would have access, or I don't know, maybe who knows what kids are watching on the internet these days, but it's not like they would be picking up on the fact that it's a reference to an adult fanfic. But yeah, so a lot of people are coming up with theories that Disney is trying to build eventually towards Nick and Judy getting together officially as a couple in the third movie, or I don't know how many they plan to come out with eventually in this franchise. But a lot of people I've been seeing that they predict by the third movie, they're going to come out and directly say it, or like they're, Nick and Judy are going to directly confess or realize their romantic feelings towards each other, and they're going to become a real couple. And it could potentially be good for just the overall propulsion. Is that the right word? It could expound on the overall message of the Zootopia films, which is all about acceptance and learning to live with different types of animals, species, like people that are different from yourself, learning to live with them in harmony, and also learning to accept different ways of life. Or in this case, if Judy and Nick got together, it would be kind of an allegory for, I guess, like LGBTQ or non-heterosexual relationships, right? Because for Nick and Judy, it would be the first intra-species couple that we see in Zootopia. Most couples that we've seen so far are of the same species, right? So it's Judy's parents, or the mole rat. Well, what's Mr. Big? What kind of animal is he? I forgot. Arctic shrews. Yeah, the Arctic shrew mafia family. They are all Arctic shrews. But if Nick and Judy got together, it would be an example of an interspecies couple, right? And that would be like another good message for Zootopia to push. I have a kind of a different take on their relationship, though, because I think because I'm in Asia, like I'm based in Japan, so I see things not only from the Japanese fans' point of view or the Asian fans' point of view, but also just like the Asian mentality. Since I've lived in this society for the past decade plus, my way of thinking tends to blend Western and Asian principles. I feel like, okay, I was surprised that so many people really thought, or that they seem to need like physical, confirmation. They really think, or they're really hoping for this really explicit confirmation by the third film, right? That Judy and Nick are officially a couple. Whereas I feel like in Asia, though, we don't necessarily look for explicit confirmation. to us, to most of the adult Zootopia fans, I mean, there are fans that also like, first of all, not everybody is that hung up on the whole Nick Judy relationship thing. Like, a lot of people here, adults and children alike, we just enjoy the movie for what it is. Like all of the characters, right? Nick, Judy, Flash, all of the police department characters and the villains and the new protagonists like Gary. We feel like they're all very well fleshed out characters and we want to know more about their backstory. Like they're written in a very compelling and intriguing way to where we want to learn more about them, right? And we see that they're not two-dimensional. So what am I trying to say? I just feel like, I don't know, like in Asia we don't need an explicit declaration of love between Nick and Judy to know that they're basically already a couple, or they are definitely, at the very least, it's been obvious since the first film that both of them occupy a very, very special place in the other's life and heart. So that alone is already enough. You know what I mean? For us to go off on, like, a lot of people here, the Japanese fans, for example, we think, or they think, I mean, I'm counting myself as like part of the Japan demographic because I live here, right? And I'm also like participating in the merge culture here. Like we have already thought of Nick and Judy as a couple for this entire time anyway. So I'm just wondering, what if you're one of those people that are like foaming at the mouth and really, really wants Disney to confirm that Nick and Judy are officially going to date or get married or whatever. I just wonder, like, okay, what do you hope to gain or to see as a result of that, though? Because if you really think about it, like, even if they did that, even if they really went there in the third film, it's a Disney movie, right? So they're very limited as to what they can actually do. It's not like you're going to get some gratuitous, love making scene between Nick and Judy. You might get a peck on the lips between them at most. If, I'm not judging. If that gets your rocks off, that's fine. But there's nothing that they can really do visually on screen with Nick and Judy because it is a children's film. It's a children's series at the end of the day. So there's nothing that they can do if they were an official couple that they haven't already showed us on screen up until now, even throughout the first and the second movies. You know what I mean? We've already seen the hesitating, longing glances between the two, right? We've already seen them profess how much the other one means to them and how especially in Zootopia 2, like when they both survive the near-death experience, they both spill their hearts out to each other about how Nick says to Judy straight up that you're the most important person in my life. And Judy pretty much says the same thing back to Nick, right? And they both said in like a buddy cop kind of way, at this point, they've used the actual words, I love you, right? Like at the end of the first movie, at the end of the first movie, Nick tells Judy, he's like, you love me. And then Judy is like, yeah, I do. So that's an indirect, but also kind of direct declaration of love because he said that, hey, do you love me? And she basically responded in the affirmative. So she said that she loved him. And then by the end of the second movie, Nick also uses the word love. I love ya, right? Which, again, the tone was in like a buddy friend type of way, but he still used the actual term I love you. And then she even recorded it with the carrot pen, and we see her replaying it over and over and smiling into the distance as the final scene. So I mean, what more do you really need past that to prove or to satisfy your craving for Wildehopps is what I'm trying to say here. In, I guess, the Asian consumer's mind, or at least like the Japanese fan base's mind, we don't need necessarily any more explicit development of their relationship. They are already in a relationship. like point blank period, you know? And it's kind of almost like the genre necessitates for things to be tamed down, right? Because it's a Disney film at the end of the day. So they cannot go too far anyway, even if they were to become an actual romantic couple, even if they were to get married, right? You're not going to see them. Disney is not going to portray them like rolling around on the floor on their honeymoon doing you know what. What I mean, what Disney princess in history have you ever seen them put in those types of scenes? Never, right? Because it's Disney. So why do you need Nick and Judy to officially enter into a relationship to be satisfied, right? That's just my take on it. Plus, I also think that it kind of ruins the fun, you know, it pops the bubble and it kind of stunts their ability to continue to develop the series, right? Again, I don't know how many videos, I don't know how many movies they're planning to do in total, or if they want to ride the train until the wheels fall off and just drag it on forever, like the way that they're doing with Toy Story, it seems these days. Which may not be the smartest thing, you know, because it's always better to end something on a high note and leaving people wanting more than to drag it out forever and risk disappointing your fans. And, you know, if they come out with like 5 or 10 Zootopia movies, there's inevitably going to come a point where people start to become discontent with the direction that the story is taking, or they're going to feel like it's overkill, or, you know, people are going to be unhappy and upset, right? Because the more installments that you put into a story like this, the more it's going to feel like the last installment deviates from maybe like the message of the first installment, if only by the passage of time, right? So yeah, me personally, I don't feel like I necessarily need an explicit declaration of love between Nick and Judy. It's very clear that they care for each other and that they would do anything for each other. They would give up their life to make sure that the other one survives. So I don't think there's much more than what they've already showed us so far that would be that impactful in proving their loyalty or their love for each other. I think it's already very clear. It's been made very clear in several instances already. And like I said, again, in the hearts of the fans, especially like the adult fandom, they are already a married couple anyway, or a modern couple, right? Because they live, you know, they don't live together. But again, how much of a difference would that make if, let's say, by the third film, they decide to move Nick and Judy in together and have them live as boyfriend and girlfriend or get engaged or whatever? It doesn't do anything for me, right? And it doesn't do anything for the story. It doesn't do anything for the main values that Zootopia preaches. So it's just interesting to see the Western fan perspective in contrast with like the Japanese fan or the Asian fan. For us, and me in particular as well, I don't need them to make Judy and Nick officially boyfriend and girlfriend, because it's already there, you know? And I think it works better for everyone this way, because if you just keep it as like a buddy cop style and they refer to each other as partners, but they're talking about the fact that they work together in the police department, I think it keeps everyone happy. Because for the kids who don't really understand romantic love yet, or they're not ready, they're not interested in that yet, it's nice for them to be able to sorry, Maxine is like licking her butt right now and it is distracting me. She's been on my lap this entire time. Look at my baby. Okay. But yeah, yeah, so for the kids, I feel like, you know, it would be more enjoyable for them to just keep Nick and Judy as partners at the police department, right? And really, really good friends. But then for the adults, we can always we know in the back of our minds, right? Like we know in our hearts that Judy and Nick are actually a couple, but it's just never directly addressed in the movie because they're trying to solve crime in the movies, okay? They're trying to catch their suspect and they're trying to save all of the innocent civilians of Zootopia. So of course, like there's no need to go there and go that deep with the whole romantic part of things. We already know that they're in love with each other, and that's enough, you know? But we'll see. We'll see. I doubt that they're going to explicitly come out and say that Nick and Judy are in an interspecies relationship. I just feel like, Disney is not that, like, how shall I say this? Disney has been criticized for being woke in recent years, but they're not that woke. You know what I mean? Like, they cannot go that radical in terms of their messaging, regardless of whether their fan base likes it or not. It's just too big of an entity and a corporation. They have too many stakeholders that they have to pacify and satisfy. So I don't think it would go well if they push the idea of an interspecies couple in one of their biggest modern movies to date. You know what I mean? Even if it's a kids movie, even if it's harmless, and we're not talking about people, we're not talking about like X-rated scenes with Judy and Nick on screen anytime soon. But I just highly doubt that Disney would even dare to go there, right? Because if they haven't had an openly gay or LGBTQ or whatever couple as of yet, what makes you think that they're going to make an interspecies couple a real thing or an explicit thing? And secondly, like I just explained, I just don't think it's necessary because the genre of the film is still like a kids family type of story, and the message of the film is not. We love seeing the characters of Nick and Judy play off of each other, but their relationship is not like the central message of the story, right? Zootopia is all about, celebrating diversity and battling against prejudice, and also questioning the internalized prejudice that we have within ourselves and doing the work to undo that so that we can be less bigoted and live in more harmony with more people or more types of people that are different from us in the world. That's the central message of Zootopia, right? And also, like making sure that justice is served, making sure that the rightful people who have made a positive impact and change in this world, making sure that they get their recognition, and that the crooks and the criminals of the world don't get away with um, greed and fraud and all of these things, right? So even just the fact that like they tackled, I was very impressed with the way that they tackled the 1% problem. They criticized the 1% in this video, or sorry, in this movie, because they were basically the story revolved around the Linksley family, the ancestors of the Linksley family screwing over the ancestors of the Snake family, right? And essentially stealing Gary's grandmother's work and passing it off as their own, which they later used to gain more wealth and political power and political sway in Zootopia, which is the reason why their family was so powerful and wealthy, right? So it was kind of a eat the rich message, to be blunt, which was pretty bold of Disney. But I think, again, that as a plot point, as a overall plot or story, that's what the focus of the movie is on. It's not necessarily on Nick and Judy being in love with each other, you know? The relationship for sure between them is a focus, but it's not the main focus. So anyway, I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear as as a Wildehopps fan. I mean, I like them too, but again, I don't need them to get married or something. You know, I don't need them to move in together. In fact, I didn't like the okay, this is a very, very small detail and a tiny gripe, but I didn't like the way that they portrayed Nick's apartment as being just this disgusting, nasty sight. I mean, it checks out, right? Like the stereotype of a bachelor pad, but I feel like, I don't know. It makes Nick seem like a Dusty. Um, I always come back to Sprinkle Sprinkle. But when they showed his apartment where he was like it looked like it hadn't been cleaned in a month and Judy was like tripping over his soda cans and everything. I was like, okay, but why can't Nick be a clean fox though? I mean, he has a job, you know? Like and before he joined the police academy or the police department, he always was able to make a living. He always knew how to get money. Um albeit his methods may have been questionable in the past, but Nick was never a bum, you know, and he was never a Dusty. So why were they portraying it? Why were they portraying him that way in Zootopia 2? Just to present the stereotypical image of men as being total slobs and pigs and not able to maintain their own space without a woman in their lives. I don't necessarily think that there's any merit or any benefit to be had from that perpetuating that type of a image, but again, what do I know? Okay, Disney's not paying me for all of these analyses and think pieces, so I'm not gonna waste my breath anymore on it. Oh, Maxine, she's purring. I think she's ready to go to sleep. Okay, I'm ready to go to sleep as well, so thanks for hanging out with me as usual, and I'll see you next time. Bye. But yeah, Harrison Ford is on my shit list forever. I'm telling you.